Welcome to the Bad Fan. We have made it to match week 3 of the Premier League and have been treated with some spectacular soccer and headlines thus far. We'll break down the massive Man United win over Liverpool, the instant classic that was between Newcastle and Man City, and Major Leeds Soccer is flying with their win over Chelsea. Your journey with the Bad Fan begins now. I am your host, Cole Carter, and I'm glad that you have tuned in with us today. Joining me today are my good friends and yours, and these guys love soccer. This is Brandon and Steven. Guys, good to have you back on the Bad Fan today. How we doing, fellas?
I'm doing very well, supporting a local Atlanta Sheffield Sunday, playing off the Sheffield Wednesday. One of the best kits I own, to be honest. They won their Soccer in the Streets League this weekend, so shout out to them.
Lovely. Steven, rocking the 18-19 Tottenham jersey. Yes.
Yeah.
Love that. Honestly, I just love the collar on that one. It's just a favorite of mine for whatever reason.
Yeah, it shows off my collarbones that I've been working on.
And then today I'm rocking the Juventus. I got Weston McKennie on the back. Got this on a steal from Dick's Sporting Goods this week.
Always shopping the deals.
Always looking for deals. It's a dangerous addiction I think I've built up at this point. People have their vices. Mine is, I think, jerseys at this point. It's probably safe to say.
Agreed.
Probably be dangerous if I counted it on air. I probably should not let people know how many I have.
We might do it one day.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is it a problem? Episode. Is it a problem to have more than, let's just say, 50? I don't know.
If you think it would be a fun episode, let us know.
Yeah, let us know what you think about kits. And yes. Well, as we just talked about in the intro, we're going to be talking about the Premier League from this past week. This is match week 3, which is crazy. We've already had 3 games. I feel like we just started and we're already 3 games in, which is sort of nuts. Only 35 left. I'm kind of sad already thinking about it.
Crazy.
But so much soccer to have to be played, obviously. But the first one we're talking about is Manchester United. They took on Liverpool on Monday, and I think a result went down that nobody expected. Liverpool's defense just did not look themselves. They looked exposed. I think we'll get a little bit into it, but just the result ending 2-1 in favor of the Red Devils. Jadon Sancho getting this scoring started early in the 16th minute. I don't know. How would you break this one down, Brent? How would you describe what happened early on with this Liverpool team?
Yeah, like you said, the defense was just sort of out of whack, I think. But I have to credit Ten Hag. They were looking for these very incisive passes in specific points of the game, at specific points on the field. And it happened 2 or 3 times. One almost resulted in a goal. One did result in a goal. That's sort of, from what I remember, I think that's how Sancho's goal sort of came to be. Do you think, I think we talked a little bit about it, but do you think Liverpool could have done anything to stop that first Sancho goal?
I was looking at it, from my opinion, I thought Van Dijk was just rooted to the ground. I think initially he was in a good position when Sancho was rearing up to try and score, but he deked out Milner. Milner takes the slide, and then I think he probably took 1 or 2 touches and then didn't see any movement from Van Dijk. He said, okay, cool, and placed it into the left corner. So, we talked about it earlier in the day watching. I said that Van Dijk at that point should have taken a step towards Sancho to try and close off that angle and just trying to put some pressure on the ball. But since he didn't, Jadon was just left open to take the shot and had just a clear look at it. So I thought Van Dijk just looked off. He's looked off this whole season, to be honest. Getting beaten by Mitrovic week 1 was just, in his standards, an embarrassment. And, Mitrovic is on his way to 18 league goals for sure. And but Van Dijk has just not looked good. And so I think him and Joe Gomez were paired today for the first time since that Aston Villa 7-2 game, which what an embarrassment that was. And so it just seems like something isn't clicking for this Liverpool defense right now. And I certainly think that had he reacted better, Milner gave him an earful right afterwards. I think that it could have been stopped. But what did you think about it?
Yeah, when I first watched it, it just seemed like it was the mature play to just sort of stand still, and because you don't know when Sancho's going to shoot that ball, he could have just shifted it to his left and shot it immediately. And those sort of things happen very quickly. Watching it back, though, it seemed like Sancho was on the ball for like 3 seconds in the box, which is a long time. It doesn't seem like it, but it's a very long time. And if you're at the races, you should be flying to that ball, like as he's shooting it, like exactly like you said, cutting off that angle, making yourself big. He made himself big, but I think he was literally like 5+ yards away. And Sancho just passed it into the corner of the goal. I don't know, Steve.
I'll just say one more thing too. It was also at the expense of Alisson. I mean, he had literally the perfect view was blocked because of Van Dijk's positioning as well, which he can't know that.
Right.
But it was also unfortunate that the place that he decided to root himself was literally right in Alisson's view. So when Sancho faked to the right, that's when Alisson bit. And since there was no reaction from Van Dijk on the fake shot, that's why the left-hand corner was wide open, because Alisson already committed to the save, and Van Dijk did nothing else. So that's what I saw as well, was he ended up actually hindering his keeper more than anything else.
Yeah, there's a great view of there's a shot behind the goalie, behind the goal, in Alisson's view, and you can see Alisson trying to peek around Van Dijk, and he can't see. So, when it rains, it pours, and maybe Van Dijk's had a Harry Maguire like start, but on the low, honestly. And Liverpool fans might not like it, but Van Dijk is not nearly as good, and kind of hasn't been nearly as good last year. Like, he wasn't, from what people think he is. He's had his moments. And they've been more glaring at the start of the season, like y'all have already touched on. But I would be concerned if I'm Liverpool right now. But it's exactly what the doctor ordered. Fun to see Rashford back up at the striker position that he hasn't played in some time. Credit to Ten Hag dropping Ronaldo, Shaw, Maguire. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. And now Man United has 5 points. No, 3 points, out of their first 3 games or whatever. So, not a bad start.
Well, it's funny.
It's a bad start, but it's kind of, I don't know. What do you make of this Man U team? Yeah, better than Liverpool's.
It's funny that you mentioned the omission of Maguire and Shaw, specifically defense. Obviously, Ronaldo's big, but it's just the parallel. Expect this Man U team, people just trashing Lisandro Martinez, and then Varane, he's been a big question mark since his arrival at Man U, and they both performed pretty well today, specifically Martinez, just making aggressive tackles, stepping up the field at the midfield and meeting players there and making big plays. So I think he was the one that made the biggest statement. Obviously, the win is huge for Man U as a team, but I would argue he was the one that made the biggest statement of, hey, despite what you say, I'm going to stick around. I am going to try and make a difference on this team. But hey, Rashford getting his goal was sort of a confidence booster for him. That might be what you said the doctor ordered for Manchester United. What do you think, Brennan?
Yeah, Rashford, started in that striker position, looked really good, to be honest. I don't know if it came across to you guys, but Rashford looked gassed for most of the game. And then Martial came on. I know he's coming off an injury, but he did not look up to it at all when he came on. Luckily, they were, they could hold on to the win. But
I mean, his assist was very nice. Martial's assist, 2 minutes after coming on.
Definitely. Yeah, and they'll take that. And then Rashford, moves out to the wing where he's also very dangerous, almost like the Rashford of when he was 19, just using his pace, blowing by the high back line, going right in and scoring near post. It was honestly beautiful.
Yeah, I wish there was his strike in the 76th minute. That just nasty.
Oh yeah,
gosh, I could not imagine. Yeah, that would have been nasty. Dirty. That would have been raw if he had scored that. But as a whole, are we concerned about Liverpool? Because really, they weren't connecting up top. Salah got his kind of consolation goal in the 81st minute, getting a header at the back post, but they weren't clicking up top. So should we be more concerned about Liverpool's defensive partnership or their offensive partnership so far not scoring enough goals?
Yes. I think it's a both and, honestly. Mane's not there, and that's not even the biggest part of their worries right now, honestly. Nunez has been suspended for 3 games, so he wasn't able to play against Manchester United. He's going to be a great player for them. I'm not really too concerned with him. However, having somebody that's been there, done that in the Premier League for years and years and years, not being on that squad, it's going to take a hit. But again, I don't think that's the biggest part of the Liverpool's issues right now. The middle of the park, we were joking before the show started. Brandon was saying they made James Milner run for 76 minutes. That's just criminal. This is a guy that we were wondering, is he going to resign for Liverpool? What's his role going to be? And he's starting in the biggest game of the season. So, they're only 3 games in, but against Manchester United, and doing a lot, It's so I'm nervous about Liverpool's midfield, Thiago's ability to stay healthy, relying on a old man and Milner and a young boy and Harvey Elliott to play on that right mid side, and then not to mention the issues at the back line. Trent Alexander-Arnold, great for assists, not great for defending. Problems with Van Dijk and injuries. Everything. That's none of that's an understatement, I think. I don't know about y'all's opinion on that, but I think the offense is the least of the worries. I'm not too worried. I think Salah will still score at least, maybe not as much as Mitrovic this year, but at least 15 goals or so on the season. Nunez, I think, is going to be just fine. But as opposed to seasons prior, where that might be the biggest part of Liverpool's game that needs to get improved on, that's they have bigger issues on the field right now, and they're way more glaring than they have been over the past 3-4 years.
Yeah. I was going to say Liverpool should definitely be worried about their defensive partnerships right now. Van Dijk, who I still rate as the best defender in the world, not really been up to it so far this year. I don't doubt. I'm never going to doubt a champion. So the likes of Liverpool, they are champions. They are, come the end of the season, the past, 5 years, they've been there every year. So I'm not going to doubt that they won't do it. But Liverpool fans, your defense is not looking good. Who do you bring on? Nat Phillips, who's okay, but wouldn't start for any other Premier League team.
Right.
You have Matip, who probably needs a cane. Do you want to bring Fabinho from the midfield back into the defensive line has happened in the past? Probably would want to stay away from that, especially like you just said, the midfield is awful. Their midfield is
he didn't
awful.
look good last week against Crystal Palace in the midfield either when he did start.
Yeah. So I know they'll be getting Konate back soon, but is that going to be is Konate going to make a huge impact? I guess if you're a Liverpool fan, you hope so, but I wouldn't throw my hat on it. And yeah, I don't know. Is Joe Gomez the answer? Like you said, Cole, 7-2 thrashing at Villa was the last time they started together. And then this game, and they did not look good. So I'd be worried.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too that this isn't an overreaction. I think an overreaction would have been, after the first 2 games of the season, 2 draws, Fulham, Crystal Palace. They just lost to Manchester United. Biggest rival. This is huge. And I don't think it can be understated, and it's not an overreaction. Us saying that they should be worried is very real. It is early in the season for sure, but they're only going to play the Tottenhams, the Arsenals, the Chelseas, Manchester City. They got a lot more. Brighton. There's a lot of teams out there that are up for the task, and at the start of this season, the first 3 games is any indication, it's going to be a dog fight. Teams like Newcastle are here to play. So it's going to be fun. Leeds. But anyways, panic button is on. Luke Carter.
It's going to be something that needs to be sorted out. But yeah, I really just don't know what their answer is currently. If it's injuries, you can't do anything about that. They probably don't have the funds to spend in the transfer window if they already spent all that money on Nunez. And so I would doubt we'll see any movement from them. It's just going to have to be more of the same in figuring out with the guys and the system they have. And Jurgen Klopp is obviously capable of doing that. He's had to overcome adversity before, and he's certainly overcome adversity with plenty of complaints and excuses in the past. So I'm sure there'll be one after this defeat. But I don't know if you guys have anything else to mention, but as you mentioned, Steven, Newcastle, those guys, I mean, they took on Man City and what was a very entertaining game. That one ended at 3-3, got off to the start, Gundogan scoring at the 5th minute or something like that. And at that point, you're thinking, Newcastle, Man City, I'm probably going to put my money on Manchester City, the champions from the past 2 seasons. And then our guy from Atlanta United, the Paraguayan, Miguel Almiron, was having himself a day, getting good opportunities, being dangerous the first half. He missed an open opportunity. Brandon, would you describe that as a sitter? Or
It was most definitely a sitter, probably about 10 yards out near the penalty
spot. That's my
Miggy. Skies it with his favored left foot over the bar.
But he found redemption, didn't he?
Yes. Redeems himself with a fight-in goal in the 28th minute. That was assisted by a beautiful cross by Saint Maximin. It was VAR, or no, actually the side judge flagged it for either offside, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it looked like he had hit it with his hand as well at some point. Goes to VAR. He was onside. It was off of his thigh. Goes in, ties the game up at 1-1. And, watching Miggy celebrate is just one of the best.
I was just getting ready to say, I think a lot of times in the Premier League, just in soccer in general, you see when a goal counts through VAR, gets reversed and counts on the video review, the celebration is pretty muted. Miguel Almiron acted like he just scored at that second. Goes over to the stands, shaking his body, going into the crowd, hugs a random fan. Trippier even was behind him, kind of like, hey, man, like, let's calm down a little bit. But you love to see it. He is the only Paraguayan to ever score in 3 straight Premier League seasons ever. Wow. So kudos to him. Country's Paraguay, it's big feat and hasn't been consistently great or good really in the Premier League, but he's doing something huge right now.
And he is adored by fans everywhere. There's a funny video. Do y'all remember that like crazy little kid that like sticks his tongue out and like freaks out like in the stands?
Yes.
Someone said in 40 years.
The Marlins game?
I don't know who it is, but it's like basically someone made the video comparison of the little kid versus Miggy, and they look exactly the same. And someone said in 40 years you could post that this kid grew up into this man, and they probably wouldn't notice the difference. Pretty funny. If you know what I'm talking about, it would be pretty funny. But anyways, the game was happening still. Miggy got his goal. And then St. Maximin, did he score again? Or did Callum Wilson score the second goal?
Beautiful goal.
But the one I think that was the most memorable was Kieran Trippier's fantastic free kick. He already has 4 free kicks, I think, in his short time with Newcastle. I mean, it's absolute belter, top left corner. Ederson could do nothing about it. But less than 7 minutes later, Erling Haaland, the menace, scoring goals as he does. His 3rd of the season as well. But really, I think the beauty of the night was Kevin De Bruyne. Just his vision is so insane.
I don't understand.
Unreal. That. I mean, just the mental capacity to like know that my guy is going to cut in from the edge of the box, basically the center of the box, and just meeting him head on with Bernardo Silva was just incredible. Doing all the hard work, and Bernardo just gets to tap it in essentially. So the game ends 3-3, but what were y'all's thoughts after this one? Can we expect this on the regular from Newcastle to perform at the high level? Or is this just kind of a fluke early on in the season with them?
I think you probably think they will because you said they would make it into Europe.
I did.
No, they did not look great versus Brighton, but they were definitely up for this one. I don't think it'll be a regular thing, but I think they, like they showed towards the end of last season, I think, what are they, second in the year 2022 on points picked up. I think maybe third.
I think it's like them, Tottenham, and is it Liverpool?
City.
Or one of those two.
One of them. They're up there. So, I mean, I guess you could call them, they're pretty hot, right? I mean, they're hot. If they can keep riding that, then it's not really like a hot streak anymore. It's just how they are. So I don't know. They're definitely one to follow, though.
Yeah, I think playing at St. James's Park is going to give them a lift this season. That's my big takeaway, honestly. And I think them getting a point against City, it's a reference point as a player going into a season that it's early on. You're going to be in the dog days, and you might come off losing 2 in a row to maybe Nottingham and Wolves or something. And then you're going to remember this big game you have up against Chelsea or Liverpool or Man U or Tottenham and be like, we got a point against City at the start of the season, the champions, and we're at this game at home. Let's do this. So I think it's a big result. I don't think it's something we can expect. Like, I don't think they're going to start just taking the points from everybody in the top half of the table, but it's big. It's huge. This is a team in the borderline of, we're in relegation talks a year or two ago. Are they going to stay up? And it's big. Can't go understated. The goals that they are scoring, the Miggy passion, the Trippier, the finesse. This is a very capable team. Clinical counterattack, St. Maximin, beautiful pass to Colin Wilson. Colin Wilson had a lot to do on that goal as well. And that was a beautiful technique and finish on his part. So they're going to be a fun team. They're going to be a fun team to watch. They're going to lose some games. They're going to drop points. But they're going to be an entertaining side every single week is what you hope, I guess. And they have that in them to score 3 goals against Manchester City. So as a fan, you always want that belief. So they're going to be fun.
Yeah. And they've, a year ago, we would have talked about Joe Ellington too, as well. Talking about the waste of money he has been. But he sort of had a renaissance as well this past, 6 months going back to the beginning of 2022. He's starting to make himself valuable as well, getting moved to the midfield, not being the man up top playing striker on the wing. He's been able to be more effective. So, yeah, I think Newcastle, the addition, I think, was it which Burnley defender? Was it Ben Mee going to Newcastle? I can't remember. But just like steadying up their defense, having a little bit more presence on offense, I do think they could compete for Europe. I don't think it's totally out of the realm of possibility. But hey, it's a long season. We're 3 games in. There's so much left to play. But again, these early results we talked about with Liverpool, these points matter when you come down the stretch. You can't just magically come up with points at the end of the season. You have to have early results as well to get you through the season, especially when you have high goals, high expectations, which comes to a team like Chelsea, who have had an interesting start, certainly not one that's been ideal for them. I hinted at it earlier, Major Leeds Soccer, the United Leeds of America, whatever you want to name them.
Can you go for 3 puns? Let's go.
Don't get carried away. Don't get carried away.
Oh, man.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I can't. Oh, man. Anyways, Leeds Soccer Club, is that? Leeds United Soccer Club. Anyways, it's soccer now. Yeah. So
you just got soccered. Have you seen those memes?
I've heard about the soccer memes.
Yeah.
But they beat Chelsea 3-0. I mean, this one wasn't close. Brendan Aronson putting the pressure on Edouard Mendy, getting the goal in the 33rd minute. Rodrigo's been bagging goals this season. Hello. And Jack Harrison also get on the score sheet. So 3 goals in a span of 70 minutes does not look good for Chelsea. And Klubalai, he got on the score sheet in the wrong ways, getting 2 yellow cards, which meant he got the red in the 84th minute. So Chelsea, guys, is this a hype coming from the Leeds team that's making them look good? Or is this a Chelsea team that's looking bad? What are we supposed to be believing here? Are we believing the hype, or are we believing Chelsea's in trouble 3 games in?
I think after the game is kind of where I'm worried for Chelsea. I don't know if you saw Thomas Tuchel's press conference. We always talk about managers making up excuses. He touted part of the reason to being the coaches, not the players. The players took a plane to Ellen Road against Leeds, but he complained that the coaches had to ride the bus because there wasn't enough seats on the plane. He said that's where it started. That was an actual analysis from a coach.
It was only 200 miles, by the way.
Yeah, it's only 200 miles. And I was watching ESPN FC, and Gab Marcotti was joking, so this is one of like the repurposed like yellow school buses where your knees are like digging into the back of the seat and you're like bumping the whole way there, and there's no AC. No, it got a bathroom on. This is Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's cheap. And if I'm say you got outplayed, I think when there's a tendency to make up your own reality in your head that's not there on the field. I don't know. If me as Tottenham, when we go out and get waxed by a team, I want Conte to say, yeah, we were bad. They were better. But I don't know. Chelsea did not look good. Klublai looked terrible. Brendan Ayrton put him on skates a couple times. Even Klublai picking up his first yellow, he didn't need to foul really the way he did. It seemed like it was scared defending. Yeah. And from Philadelphia Union ex-player. So kind of weird. Chelsea's defense a little sus. It's Ellen Road, though. Leeds is an amazing club, fantastic fans. They've been flying so far, but yeah, not a good look on Chelsea to lose 3-0.
Can I speak some German about Thomas Tuchel? Can I insult him in German? Is that allowed?
Oh my God! Don't get us in trouble.
Okay, I will do it. It's fine. That's fine.
Thank you. Thank you. One of your 4 phrases that you know. Tuchel also said on the day that he thought Chelsea was the better team.
That's always another, you don't want to hear that.
I'm like, what world? No one in the world who watched that game or watched the highlights of that game thought Chelsea was better. In any moment of the game, honestly, very, very, very few moments of the game, I was like, oh, Chelsea's going to turn up. I don't know, Cole. I don't know. Never, not once did I think that.
No. That'd be like saying, oh yeah, Manchester United was the better team against Brentford last week. It's like, what what are you watching? What are you thinking? At that point, you have to own, your issues, your problems, your failure at that point, right? If you can't accept that, it's just, I don't know. I can't find any reality that he could find that grounded in. They're just, I don't know. But I think, Leeds has some reasons to believe their own hype. They have just the audacity to go for it. It seems week in and week out. Jesse Marsch certainly has been building that mentality that, if it's the underdog mentality or just the lion killers, that they can go out and they can score goals and be dangerous. And that can take them so far. I mean, you had, what was the old manager's name?
I was going to say, it's almost like more toned down Bielsa ball. It's very, it's not as extreme, but it's very toned down and the players are more about themselves. They just feel more comfortable, it seems. I don't know. It looks better.
Yeah, and it's effective. It's been working so far for them. And, I don't know what they were expecting coming this season, but they're certainly off to a flying start. And it's stuff like this you can build off of. You can create a successful season. If it's top 10, if it's whatever, I think one of us had them in the relegation zone. So it's they, I won't name names.
It was me.
But again, it's a long season, but they're a young team. You would hope that they would only develop and improve over the course of this year. And so, getting results against Chelsea is only going to build that confidence, but it's going to be taxing on them to certainly play that aggressive, playing up the field kind of ball. So
something really also quick to note on that is after that match concluded a day or so later, you see Christian Pulisic linked with a loan move to Leeds. Would it make sense? After Leeds wipes Chelsea and Pulisic starts on the bench, is it just talk? Is it Team USA? I don't know. But that's just kind of funny. I think it's an extra little slap to Tuchel. Dude, you better right the ship and right it quick.
becoming hard to imagine this late in the window moving on from Pulisic, but it keeps coming up every week, it seems like.
And Christian Pulisic's dad is at the center, liking tweets that are criticizing Thomas Tuchel.
I know.
So
As he should,
Christian's
honestly.
in Chelsea jail. So you imagine that the player wants to leave. Like, again, we got a World Cup coming up in the matter of months. Like 2 months, 3 months is what we're talking about. So if Christian's not starting, I don't know. Maybe a short-term loan move to come back in January. I don't know.
Yeah, it is crazy. And this is a quick branch off. I'm talking about being in like manager jail. I'm talking about people like Antoine Griezmann. Both appearances he's made for Atletico have been 29 minutes because if he hits the 30-minute mark in a certain amount of games, they have to accept his buy-on clause. And so they've only been playing him 29 minutes exactly so far in his games. God. And it's just like the same thing, Dele Alli, had he played at Everton, like they would have to do his buy-on clause after a certain amount of time. It's just crazy how like these teams are getting away with these optional whatever clauses to get guys for a season, half a season or whatever. And it's just like now they're getting put on the bench and riding it. They could be playing somewhere else and probably succeeding. But just thought I'd mention that, how crazy this market is and how like, I don't know, just it's not, is it unfair? Is it unfair for these players, or is it just like what they should expect? Like going to a team like Chelsea, going to a team like, I don't know, Man City or Atletico, Barcelona. Like, is it like, what do we expect these days? It's just like, it seems like the market's out of whack.
I don't know. You expect to be fighting for places, but like I sort of mentioned last week with Ten Hag's hands being tied with like certain contracts, like that's why, especially with bigger players, that's why contract negotiations are so tough. You talk to anybody that does it, and they say you'd be amazed at what people want in their contract. You'd be absolutely amazed. This exact car for their mom, this house for their father, like just crazy ass that you're like, do we actually have to do this? Is this a real thing? And then you talk about like the time management stuff. Like, yeah, Tottenham threw that in there hoping to, force Everton's hand, and Everton doesn't think Dele Alli, one, is good enough to play for them, but two, like they don't want to pay that buyout clause or whatever that they would be forced to do. It's, I don't know, it's crazy, but it is the world of contract negotiations,
Yeah. And it's like we're already seeing it too. Memphis Depay and Aubameyang potentially being bought out at Barcelona. It's just like they just got there. They just got there. It's just, I don't know, it's crazy to me. Seeing stuff like that happen. Some other results from around the grounds: West Ham and Brighton. West Ham dropping more points early on. Brighton staying hot under Graham Potter's vision for his team. He's expecting a high top 10 finish, maybe Eastern European places. Tottenham getting it done against Wolves. Nothing pretty, but they got the 3 points, which is huge for them. And I think this one we want to land on Bournemouth and Arsenal. Arsenal is top of the league right now, just scoring out of their butts. It seems like Gabriel Jesus is just killing it. I think he has, is it 3 goals and 2 assists or something like that so far? Are we to believe that Arsenal are top 4 contenders for sure this year, or maybe even more than that?
100%. On our preview show about the season, I had them, I think, 5th, or not surprised if they finished 4th. I had Tottenham at 4. Arsenal's good, dude. They won the FA. Like, this is a team that historically, yada, 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 a little bit more successful than Tottenham. But no, this is a team that's very good, and has been off of their expectations for a while now. They have a very good team. They've stuck with a coach that has imprinted his identity into the team. It hasn't looked consistent all the time for Arteta. It hasn't looked pretty, but he's there right now. He's got a lot of signings in of very good players. Odegaard with the brace this past game as well. This team's good. They're very good. They haven't played incredibly difficult opponents yet, but only team in the entire league with 3 wins to start off the gate. And like we've been touching on, Liverpool drawing to Fulham. These teams, a tough competition isn't really like like minimal competition or like not like good enough teams, like doesn't really, it's kind of a fallacy in the Premier League because everybody can steal points from you. It's not like American sports where you have kind of like gimme games, really.
Right. The bottom feeders, the perennial losers.
Yeah, exactly. So it can't go ignored. And I think Arsenal's definitely top 4 contenders. Hell, they could beat out Chelsea. They could beat out Liverpool. I mean, why not? This is a team that been there, done that. I don't think it should surprise a lot of people. Look at their roster, incredible young talent, some great veterans as well. Good. I don't know. I like Arsenal a lot to finish top 4 this year.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be up there in the mix at some point. They look really, really good. And just a little reminder, it is the complete opposite start than what they had last year. They lost the first 3 games last year.
Yeah.
So you can't really start any better. It's been a process. Trust the process. Arteta and the honestly, a lot of them are kids. They're pretty young. I think they filled the youngest team in the Premier League, I'm pretty sure. At least one of them. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And like you all mentioned, Gabriel Jesus he's looking, what a signing. What a signing.
He's becoming the butterfly. He was in his shell and he's now blossoming and getting out to fly. The pretty butterfly.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
It is so beautiful. No, yeah,
we'll one tonight.
Talk about them a little bit more in a second. Leicester City, they dropped more points to Southampton 2-1. I think it was Shea Adams getting the brace off the bench. I want to say
he did score one of them.
I think he had a brace. I think he came on and scored 2 goals.
Much needed. He has struggled in the Prem.
Yeah, I know he had a good game against Tottenham, and was it February when they beat us? Him and James Ward-Prowse were just linking up like madmen. Everton and Nottingham Forest, they get the draw. Everton equalizing late off Demarai Gray goal. Pretty entertaining one to watch there. I don't remember who scored for Nottingham Forest, but Demarai Gray, much like he did last season, coming with that late stunner to get some necessary points for Everton, which they'll need for sure this season if they want to contend to stay in the Premier League again. Palace, unfortunately, beat up on your guys, Villa. Brandon, what happened in that one just real quick? What went wrong?
Villa scored first. Very good goal. I think it was the 5th or 6th minute. Ollie Watkins getting off the mark. Yeah. And then it all went downhill from there. Obviously, 3 unanswered goals. I
think Zaha had a double, right?
Yeah, he had a penalty that was saved.
He followed up.
Yeah. And then there was that penalty also, a lot of questions about it.
I didn't think it was a penalty. I
don't think it's a penalty either. A lot of these penalties that are being called, especially in the MLS, obviously, I mean, VAR is all over the place, to be honest, but very inconsistent. And a lot of them, if you would go ask any player that's played at a high level and understands the game, they would say, yeah, a lot of them are not penalties. Like the natural position or unnatural position. He's jumping and it's like his arm is behind him, below him, and it heads down off his arm. I don't know how you're supposed to get leverage. I don't know how you're supposed to get leverage when you jump, how you're supposed to tie your arms when you slide. Like, I don't know what the rules are anymore. One of the head of the referees in England, I think it was on Sky Sports, I saw, came out and said it shouldn't have been a penalty. So it is what it is. Tough luck. Aston Villa looked absolutely awful, though. I think we should have lost the game. We definitely deserved. Steven Gerrard needs to figure it out. Really does. I know there's been like a lot of stuff surrounding him. People like to, the media likes to build stuff up. And I'm not one to want to fire coaches either. I think coaches should have an extended tenure. That's why you hire them. But it's not looking too great for him. His win percentage is bad. And like I said in the previous episode, he needs to learn how to tie games no matter what. You need to learn how to get draws. You need to learn how to get points. Losing 3-1 when you should have tied 1-1 or 2-2 or something, you have to figure out a way to do it. And honestly, Eddie Howe at Newcastle knows how to do that. They played awful versus Brighton, but tied, I think it was 0-0. And, those points matter. Steven Gerrard needs to figure out what to do with the midfield. I know, I'm sorry for my rant. Needs to figure out what to do with the midfield. Having midfielders cover for their left and right backs, or for our left and right backs, like when they're supposed to be the ones that are creative. Like we need to be able to boss the midfield, not have them cover for players who don't even really know how to cross. Matty Cash, who hasn't showed up yet this year.
He got the money and he ran.
Golly. So I'm not worried, but
you sound not worried.
I'm not. It's a long season. I still think Leeds will get relegated, and I still think Brentford will get relegated. If that makes you feel any type of way. But it is a long season. I don't think games get any easier as the year goes on, but it never really helps to overreact because teams always figure it out, hopefully. Maybe that's optimism, but...
Yeah, well, speaking of Brentford, they lost to Fulham. We did see a lot of this going on from Ivan Toney, and actually initially he thought he had scored the equalizer, and then Mitrovic comes back down the field and gets the winner for Fulham. So yeah, Brentford-Fulham, that one ended 3-2 in favor of Fulham. But talking about overreactions, this is our third time we've been doing this. I do just want to say, like, soccer, football, whatever you call it, is, I think, just the most emotional, overreactionary sport there is. Like, it's just insane. 1 year ago today, what did the Premier League table look like? It had Tottenham 9 points, Arsenal 0 points. Where was Tottenham in November? They were firing Nuno. It's like
it changes quick. I'm telling you,
it changes quick. And then in November, what did they say? Impossible to get Champions League. Impossible. And Antonio Conte comes in, they get top 4. Now, I'm not saying that as like a Tottenham fan to like blow. I'm just saying, like, it's literally so early, and there's so many ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of the game. It's like it's inconsistent. Teams are going to falter. There's things that are going to happen, but soccer is so emotional and so unstable that these people freak out so early on that, you talk about teams like Chelsea and Liverpool. You talk about teams like Leeds that overperform early. It's so much can happen. But our overreactions so far do involve those same teams. And I do think there's some level of, truth to it and some, weight. Like me saying, like, the top 4 could not include Liverpool. That's a reality because we just know Man City are going to be the team that's most likely not going to drop points this season. And especially in the title race, if you want to consider it the title race, Liverpool won't be included in on it if they continue to drop points. Honestly, they probably can't drop, like, in relatively to Manchester City, like, more than 6 points. Like, typically they've kept up. If you drop more than 6 points, that's the gap typically, between first and second is something that close. And that's what's been the past couple of years, and they're already in danger of slipping out of that. So it could happen that we could have a top 4 in my eyes of Man City, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, in whatever order. That could be the top 4, and Liverpool could slip out because of either injury issues or just the, inability to be a cohesive team that we've seen in the past. Jurgen's got it cut out for him if he can't figure it out early on. That's what I think is my overreaction so far. Steven, what's your overreaction through match week 3?
I think this will be one of the best Premier League seasons ever. Let alone the past 10 years. I think you're talking about this top 4, and I mean, I just kind of relate everything through the lens of Tottenham and our results. Tottenham, even just looking how we played Liverpool and Man City last year, like, we didn't lose to either of those teams, and we very well could just the way games go, right? Like, we could get waxed by City this year. And then there's 3 points or 2 extra points that City didn't have last. It's just, it ebbs and it flows. And what I love that I'm seeing so far is the Newcastles, the Leeds. I love watching Manchester United go out there, even though it's sell the clubs, Glazers out. All right, you just beat your biggest rival, Liverpool,
and they bought in Casemiro. It's like, do you want the Glazers out?
The highest transfer fee ever paid for a player 30 plus years old. Like, you don't know what's going to happen, and And that's the fun thing about like watching pundits is like whether it be ESPN FC or Sky Sports, like people were talking Tottenham as title contenders this time last, and they were, and it was crap, and I know that. Cole's probably being like, yeah, but what if? But no, like
devil's advocate is always on my shoulder here.
But it's something that this season, just for lack of any research words or terms at all, it just feels different. No, the season's just gonna be fun. You got Ericsson on Man United. You have like these Americans. You have Team USA, like more than the Premier League has ever had. With Leeds, which is just weird, honestly. Newcastle, like Saudi Arabia consortium, the most money ever. It's like they're starting to splash more cash. Like, I don't know, man. Jesse Lingard's playing on Nottingham Forest. Like, I don't know what to think. Like, Sergio Reguilon, Tottenham's starting left back last year, is linked with Nottingham. Like, I don't know.
Well, no, I'll back you up. I think you're making a good point in that these investments that the clubs are starting to make are starting to feel more sensible and realistic and like smart transfers. It doesn't feel like teams as much are splashing $80 million on players that are unproven. It feels like teams are starting to catch on to the system of, spending smart money, getting developed young talents, or, buying from leagues like MLS or, coming from Germany, Austria, where they've played Champions. They played Champions League football. They've played against these big teams, and they're saving money by not buying within the English system or coming from France or whatever. So it's teams like Nottingham Forest. They've spent almost more money than anyone else, I think, at this point, which is crazy. But they're the ones that are trying to prove that by playing with smart money and having a youngish team that's sort of proven that they could stay up. And that's the conversation I think a lot of teams are having is spending money can pay off. It just depends, obviously, what your goals are. You might want top four. You might want European football. You might want to win a championship. But it seems like you're right that this could be the most competitive season because teams are starting to make good investments into their clubs. Even despite coming away, still the excuse is being the pandemic. A lot of clubs are still fighting for the health of their clubs, but it seems like some of them are moving to grow out of that pandemic kind of downward spiral. But
yeah, you just have a lot of storylines too, real quick, just of like teams that me personally, like I'm invested in Brighton. Like I'm invested in what they're going to do this year in Graham Potter. I'm invested in Leeds. I'm invested in Nottingham. Hell, right when I think about Leicester City, like, oh, they're not making it. Jamie Vardy signs an extension. I'm like, okay, well, game on. James Maddison scores a goal. I'm like, okay, like Leicester still. And then Brandon was like at a point before we started. David Moyes. West Ham. What's going on with them? Like,
no points at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, like it's so fun. It's just so fun, and it's and it's so refreshing. And again, it's so early, but in City just tied Newcastle, whatever. But you never like to know the result before the game happens. That's the lure of the Premier League. That's why players want to play in the league, leave their big clubs abroad, and maybe come play for a smaller team in the Premier League because it just means more.
Well, no, it's just like, you couldn't, especially you, Steve, like, there's no way you would watch the Minnesota Timberwolves play the Phoenix Suns on a Monday afternoon, but you would sit and watch.
Let alone basketball in general.
That's what I'm saying. Like you would sit and watch 18th place Brentford take on 14th place Crystal Palace and then watch all 90 minutes of it. Like it's just, that's the difference.
It's a better game. It's more entertaining and it means more to those fans. The fans are better than NBA fans. They're better than NFL fans. They're better than the fans here. They are. They just are. It's in their blood.
Yeah, I've been seeing some things on Reddit and maybe some Instagram stuff, but talking about American fans versus British fans. The American fans are saying defense, whatever, like simple stuff like that.
God,
and then in England, they're like making up songs on the spot, like the Saliba goal. It's like, they start instead of
Saliba.
Saliba,
I was just getting ready to say.
like they just made that up on the spot when he scores. So it's just like stuff like that where Americans are little prunes and too scared to come out of their shell because they're so regal and whatever posh. When it's funny that that's how Americans see British people, but really the British ones are the ones that love to sing and have fun. It's just whatever. Yeah, the fans are just a blast to be around, and
It's called soccer, though.
It's called soccer. But Brandon, what's your overreaction so far out of the Premier League season?
I love both of your overreactions. Steve, I actually don't think yours is an overreaction. I think that even though the table will take shape, I think we've started to see over the last couple of seasons that middle, yes, even 7, 6, you can keep reaching a little bit to 14th is like within 10 points, 12 points. Don't quote me on that, but the last couple of seasons, it's felt really tight. Like a win versus whoever, you jump them, and then it's fun. Yeah, it just drives the craze even further, right? Especially with a crazy start, not knowing that Man City is gonna play Fulham well or not, or Liverpool is gonna go lose to Nottingham Forest, or you don't know. And I think this might change throughout the season, so maybe it is an overreaction, but I'm very, very hopeful that this will be the best season in a while.
It only gets harder when you get to winter. You start playing some of these teams up in the
injuries
north.
Kick in.
Yeah, especially with the World Cup this year, it's a huge question mark.
That was one of my points. I think I was going to say it's like that's a massive break in the year. A massive break in the year.
And teams like Nottingham Forest more than likely have less players going to play at a World Cup. And so that's a good either break for them, or it could be them becoming, out of form. Maybe they'll lose some games after the World Cup because they weren't playing together. I don't know. Like that's the thing. These guys could either come out really hot playing in a World Cup, or they could crash and burn and have some injuries, like you said. So it's going to be huge what happens in November, December with this Qatar World Cup.
Definitely. And along similar lines, people are trying to make their national teams for the World Cup.
Right.
So we mentioned Pulisic earlier trying to play in Chelsea, which he most definitely should be playing on that Chelsea team. But like not just him, but other people, and they're trying to show out and play the best that they can to get noticed, to
Jesse Lingard,
get time, right? To try to get time on their national teams. It's very, very, very exciting, and it's the high level that the Premier League brings is it's extremely entertaining. I'm so glad it's back. Okay, top 4 won't include Liverpool. That is a very big overreaction, but I love it coming off of this week. Yeah, they have a lot of things to figure out. If someone's going to do it, it will be Klopp, though. I guess we can be proven wrong on that. I'm just going to wait to see if they start to fall. But like I said, if they start losing games, it's going to be a tricky one. I have sort of 2 here, and we can talk about it or not. But I don't think Frank Lampard will make it to October. Hasn't really been backed. Everton probably won't get 3 wins until then. They look awful. And if you're depending on Damari Gray to score you whatever they want him to score, or to score goals, or I'll put it this way, Solomon Rondon to score you goals.
I'm just sitting here, I'm literally laughing. It's just like we literally just stole Richarlison from them.
Yeah, they're crazy for letting him go.
Like, why?
And Dominic Calvert-Lewin is hurt it seems like all the time. So he's hurt again. He hasn't been backed. I don't know. I know he's like one of the managers that are sort of, if you're a betting man, you can bet him to be one of the first to go out. I think it's like 5-1 or whatever the odds are. But I don't think he'll make it to October.
Yeah, I don't know, because last season was the most managers fired ever, I think, wasn't it? It was like 7 or something crazy,
possibly.
like 6 or 7. I think last year was the
most. We had Watford, so Watford goes to 2 or 3.
3 in a year. You had Villa, you had Tottenham, you had so many teams. But no, it's crazy thinking about it now. It's like Nottingham Forest, their guy's been with them for how many years? Probably a handful or so.
Only a year. Last year, He came
Really?
from Swansea. Yep, he came from
Oh,
Swansea.
it's okay. I'm
The
wrong on that.
Swans.
So the thing is, just like with them, I doubt they'll probably fire him. Thomas Frank isn't going to get fired from Brentford. You know, he's
Nope.
the DNA of that club.
And he's good looking.
You know, he's
He has
got
a nice flow.
You have
Seems
nice
like
hair.
his hair.
You have the same hair as him.
Stretchy pants. He wears.
Yeah, like Everton. If Eddie Howe collapses, maybe Eddie Howe from Newcastle, David Moyes. But again, it's just like it's gonna be the clubs I think have high expectations. I don't know if Frank Lampard will get the boot or not. It'd have to be bad.
All I'm saying is Sean Dyche is waiting in the batter's box. Everton, bring me in. I can do some work. So that's also my guess.
That's the thing. Like
Frank Lampard gets fired, Sean Dyche is immediately there.
They're opening a new stadium in like a year or two, and you want Sean Dyche to be your front man.
Knows how to win, though.
No.
Knows how to get results, I guess.
He knows how to get results.
I guarantee you he could beat you in a bar fight. Guaranteed.
Easily.
Yeah.
And then that's a
hot take, though. I like the hot take.
Yeah, a little bit. This one may be hotter. Chelsea is in trouble. I know you said Liverpool might be in trouble, which they might be. Chelsea is in trouble. They've been bad over the last 3 months. Not talking about the summer, like playing. And Tuchel still doesn't know what his best team is. Koulibaly looked good the first week, looked good against Tottenham, looked awful yesterday. So, jury's still out on that. Playing Havertz as a striker still, which doesn't seem to work. He missed from 6 yards against Tottenham.
I'm shocked they haven't figured something out up top.
Yeah. Christian Pulisic came on with like 30 minutes ago and played like 3 different positions because of Tuchel being lost. So I think that's scary. We already talked about it earlier. Tuchel's making wild excuses. Wild. And it's not like Klopp when Klopp says, oh, the grass was too dry or whatever it was.
Oh, we play too many games. It's
yeah, there's too many games on the schedule, whatever it is. Like wild excuses, thinking that they're better than they actually are. They're a good team. They're a great team. Don't get me wrong. But if you have your head coach starting to be unrealistic with what he has and doesn't know who to throw out there week to week, I think you need to start. Woo! Hell,
Well,
Thomas Tuchel might be in the hot seat before you know it.
Tuchel ist ein Baby und hässlich und scheiße.
Got him. Get him.
I was like a snake in the grass. I came out and got you.
Yeah, Chelsea seems lost a little bit. That's all I'll say. Maybe it's Tuchel, not Chelsea, but yeah.
Todd Bailey needs to inject some funds and buy a striker. Oh, wait. You know what? If they just hadn't sold Tammy Abraham, they'd be fine. They wouldn't have had any issues.
Yeah. Or don't spend $90 million on a striker you're not going to use. I mean,
2 years in a row.
Not do that. Yeah. Hey, but look, I don't know. Seems like Timo Werner's happier, and Lukaku's happier too. So
yeah,
so interesting. Funny. Chelsea's a question mark. I don't know what you guys think about that. We can move on, but if you have anything to say,
no, I think you're not. I don't think you're far off. I think Tuchel, maybe he's just overdoing it. He maybe just needs to simplify things. He put Ruben Loftus-Cheek as like a right back against Tottenham.
Right wing back.
Like
he did it
playing him out of position is sort of strange.
The heck?
Yeah, it's just like play Reece James, play Ben Chilwell at their positions, let them do their thing. And I don't know. It is strange. I don't disagree with your observation and take on it. But the German will figure it out, I'm sure. He'll figure it out down the road. We'll kind of wrap things up a little bit. We're going to skip to some transfer updates, a little bit of some stuff. You mentioned Nottingham Forest making some moves, getting linked with Sergio Reguilon from Tottenham. He's just been relegated to not even being a part of the team. He's been training on his own, not training with the first team anymore, which is, I think, crazy.
So weird.
Crazy. He's done nothing wrong. Honestly, like he played great for us. At one point, the expected either crosses or goals, whatever, from his position, he was like the highest ranked player sending balls in the box. And then just kind of got relegated out of that position after like a hamstring injury for like a little bit. But then just like He's so fast. He's got a great delivery. So whatever it is, he's been relegated out of Tottenham squad, which means he's been linked to some teams, not on anything like permanent, but potentially a loan. Nottingham Forest is the ones that might have a pickup for him. Nottingham Forest has injected, I think, over 170 million pounds this offseason, if I'm not mistaken. And they're going to do
strategy.
More. Are they going to be doing more, Brandon?
They did do more with their 15th and 16th signings of they signed a whole new squad this summer. Remo Freuler from Atalanta, yes, a Champions League team. Nottingham Forest just signed a midfielder for a pretty good fee, £7.5 million there. And then Morgan Gibbs-White, who played for them when they were in the championship, from Wolves, for a staggering, and I mean absolutely staggering fee. I don't know how Wolves got this, but £42.5 million. He did have 12 goals and 10 assists last year for them, so maybe
that's a good year.
Feel a certain way. It's a very good year, but 42.5.
That's crazy.
No, I played with Morgan Gibbs-White in FIFA 18, and he ends up being a really good player. So it's a good move.
Good to know.
It's just I had Nottingham Forest being relegated, but they just keep spending money.
So I have to ask: Has this changed your minds at all? I said they were going to stay up, and I'll go to bat for them.
Yeah, I think I did too.
Change your mind?
I think they're staying up. Let alone they also have Dino in goal. Manchester United goalie. Like, you're talking earlier about the importance of getting the draw and getting points. And I think they're that team. I mean, money talks when it's spent wisely. And I think they've spent well.
I had them finishing 18th. I had Fulham 17th on my table. I mean, it's neck and neck.
It's a long season.
Neck and neck. Yeah. I mean, it depends. I think I said this in the preview. I think I did. Jesse Lingard is the linchpin. He's the linchpin.
I don't know about anymore. Morgan Gibbs-White might be better than him.
It's just like, who's going to show up? Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be fun to see if the investment's paid off or not. Otherwise, they might be in deep doo-doo back in the championship.
Yeah. Pretty bold to come up and spend that much, I will say. There's been teams that have come and done it in the past and then just went straight back down. It's been a lot of issues for them. But, again, I think they're staying up, and these signings are only making them better. We'll just see. You really have to score goals. And I think, Steve, you might have mentioned this in the past. But usually teams that come up, you just have to defend well. You have to try to not let in goals, really. That's what it comes down to. I know that sounds so stupid, but it's true. If you're a newly promoted side, just try to shore up your defense as much as possible. And I don't know. We'll see if they've done that. They've done it with the goalkeeper. So,
yeah. And then to not beat a dead horse, we did talk about this a lot a couple episodes ago, talking about Manchester United. And what do they do as a club? What do they do as a team, especially after that big loss? Well, we mentioned earlier, they brought in Casemiro from Real Madrid. Steve said this is the biggest transfer for a player over 30 in the Premier League's history. And was it £60 million? Is this the missing puzzle piece to kind of recalibrate and reset Man U's season early on? Is this the missing link that they needed?
I'll say... I mean, yes and no. It's definitely helpful. It's the only, I think, stamp on Manchester United's entire squad, honestly, for positions. Middle of the park, locking down in the midfield is Casemiro. You don't have to ask questions. You don't have to worry about who you're playing. This is somebody, for whatever reason, wants to be at Manchester United after winning 4 Champions Leagues at Real Madrid. But, Casemiro, small beginnings, getting signed from Sao Paulo in Brazil to Real Madrid for £7 million or euros, actually, to coming to this £60 million player. I don't know. I kind of I think when players are bought into Europe, not on big fees, he's had to work his way into that Real Madrid squad that ended up just being historic runs. And he brings stability to Manchester United, and he doesn't bring an ego. I could think you could honestly slot him in the captain role right away if you really wanted to. So yeah, it doesn't solve everything. There's got to be a question on the price tag. I think it's actually the second largest. I might have misspoke earlier. The second largest ever fee paid for a player over 30. I don't know who the biggest one is, but
I was going to ask you, Cole. Do you know who the biggest one is?
It's not Ronaldo.
It is Ronaldo to Juventus for 100 million euros.
Oh, it's not the Premier League. That's the Ever. I would have said Ronaldo
Ever.
if it was. Yeah, Ever. Yeah, I knew that was Ronaldo.
Okay. So it is then the Premier League. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they still got a lot of work to do. I think it's weird, honestly, because it's a signing that gives immediate impact, which is good. But you look towards the future and you just wonder how much you're going to get. So it's a good signing. The expectation's high. Great reception after watching that 2-1 win at Liverpool. So I like Casemiro a lot, honestly. He's one of those guys that does a lot of unsung work in the middle of the park, and you just kind of wonder how Real Madrid dominated certain games, and it was Casemiro. So it's fun. Yeah. I like it. I like him in the Premier League. Again, going back to my statement on, hey, Premier League's fun. We got Casemiro in here now. Like, let's go. Casemiro, Ronaldo, and Varane. Like, those are three Real Madrid guys that have done a lot of stuff together. So,
well, it's going to be different for him going from the trio of Kroos, Casemiro, and Modric to Casemiro, McTominay, and Christian Eriksen, maybe Fred sometimes.
Bruno Fernandes. We have Bruno, who's great, who's class. He worked
who also
off.
deserved a red card today, but that's my opinion.
A little bit of a dive. But yeah, so he's stepping into a midfield that could use some work.
Yeah, I wonder if they overpaid for him, but it is a 4-year deal, and it is a great signing. It's a good signing. There's no arguing with it, and I think you covered it perfectly, Steve. But are they done in the market? I mean, they're linked with a lot of other people.
They better not be, but
who knows? Yeah, that's the thing. It's like Chelsea, Man U, those teams need to do more. They have the money to spend. They should at least. They should be doing more if they want to be
Christian
competing.
Pulisic was linked to Manchester United last week. I mean, I don't know.
In a swap with Harry Maguire.
That would have been insane. I think Villa should literally just go to Chelsea and be like, we'll loan Pulisic and 30 million on the table for Maguire. We'll take him. Change of scenery might be good for Harry. Might shore up our defense a little bit. I don't know. But I don't know if you guys saw this. The Ajax striker, which they keep calling him a striker, but he plays on the wing. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anthony. For Ajax, 80 million euro bid was rejected last week. Ajax wants something closer to 100 million.
Hey, good for them. Good for them.
I guess, but good Lord, that's a lot of money.
And they know his worth.
I think I don't know if it was their coach or someone linked with the club. One of you guys can jump in if you know who. Was like, I don't know, like, we understand like Anthony's desire. This player wants to go to Manchester United. But the jab was kind of made that, we're playing Champions League football. I don't know if you can say the same. It was their manager. It was their manager. Yeah. He said, I don't know if you can say the same about Manchester United. So,
yeah.
But yeah, 80 million euros.
I mean, he's still young. He's like 23, isn't he?
22.
Yeah, he's
already
very
has
young.
4 goal involvements this year. Last year was 12 goals, 10 assists. The year before that was 10 and 10. He's only 22. He can only go up, right? He's only getting better. So
he's raw. He has been. Him and David Neres, that Champions League run with Ziyech and all them, it's just like nasty. Nasty. Brandon, any other moves worth mentioning before we kind of wrap up at all?
I don't think there are. This one might be worth mentioning. The Wolves signed midfielder Mateus Nunes for a club record fee, £42.2 million from Sporting Lisbon in Portugal. Keeping with the Portuguese there, you know how that works at Wolverhampton. And they will be hoping he has an amazing year because they really might need it, being close to the bottom so far this season. But that's probably about it. I will mention that you guys, Tottenham that is, signed a left back for £18 million. I was thinking he might replace Sergio Reguilon on the roster, but you immediately loaned him out again, so I don't know what that's about. And then Manchester City not spending the $80 million, whatever it was, on Mark Cucurella, go and sign an $11 million left back Sergio Gomez from Anderlecht on a 4-year deal. We'll see how that one plays out, but I think that's the best update we could have given.
Tottenham's been doing that. We did the same thing with Papamate Sarr. We got him from Lens, whatever it is, the French team. And we immediately sent him back out to loan. And I think he's currently on our roster still right now. We haven't loaned him out again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not totally out of character for us to get these young guys that aren't quite like Premier League ready and to send them off back to their team that they came from.
Sort of like the Chelsea model.
Yeah, it can be beneficial. You know, Michy Batshuayi never really played for Chelsea, but he got loaned every year.
He's played a lot of games for other teams.
Right, exactly. But so yeah, it's, you know, anything can happen with that. Remains to be seen, but I'm not too concerned. Yeah, that more or less wraps things up. I know the comical part, I'm having issues bringing it up, but the leaks from the U.S. men's national team World Cup jerseys has stirred the pot a little bit. Was it Timothy Weah and was it Weston McKinney that both chimed in, talked about like, we try to warn y'all, like these things bad, like I want to be able to bring it up, but yeah, like they are pretty.
I'll describe it to you while you're working on that. So we have a blue one that looks like a tie-dye project that you do in 3rd grade. Doesn't
it's blue and black.
Yeah, blue and black doesn't. Keep in mind that this is the first World Cup the United States is playing in since 8 years. So, you know, it's kind of, you would expect, you know, kind of something out of it. And then I think our white jersey just has like a center cut crest, but it's just plain. It's just bad. It's a white jersey. But it just doesn't look good. Looking back on like the US, like I think of the US in the World Cup, and I think of like the popsicle jerseys. I think of Clinton Dempsey with like there's like red and then the blue on the top with a white stripe in the middle. Amazing goals against Ghana. Jermaine Jones strikes against Portugal. Like, I don't know. It, you know, when you're balling out on the field, you want to look good while you do it.
Definitely. I mean, you look at England's jerseys, they have Nike. Those look really good and will probably look good for the World Cup. I also think about, you pulling them up? Oh, yes.
Those guys.
Yeah, it is. It just looks so bad. I really hope these are like training or something, but they're in the same form as the Nike kits for this year. I
just hate the center. I hate the centered crest. Like, I don't like that it's centered like that.
My only defense is with the numbers on it. They'll look better with the numbers for sure. That's what I do know. That's the nice thing about club or international jerseys. You have the numbers on the front like that. That'll look better, but the designs are lazy and bad, in my opinion.
Conspiracy theory thrown out. I mean, Timothy Weah and Weston could be trolling us too. Like, this could be like, I don't know. It'd be kind of ballsy, but you know, maybe with the leaks come out, or do we know if this is it?
No, this is the white one is the white one is it confirmed?
Yeah,
it's already been seen in stores. Yeah, confirmed. The white one is. The blue one at this point, again, same thing. It's like the production is usually done like a year or two beforehand, and I've sort of learned that Fleet Headlines just doesn't miss. they're always on like years ahead. Like they're
Really
like,
are.
you know how Tottenham this year has like the neon collar and stuff?
Yeah.
They reported on that 3 years ago that this year stuff was going to have neon.
That bothers me. Like, that's lazy. I don't think that's very innovative when it comes to jersey making. I don't know. Like, is
And
recent.
that's the thing. It's like Nike has been the ones criticized. Let's talk about jersey stuff for a second while we can. Venezia, for example, they were with Nike, right? They were getting team templates. So that means they don't get what's called like bespoke designs, like unique, intentional designs for the club. They get what's distributed amongst the lower league
Something
teams.
you can do on FIFA, like the FIFA created jersey.
Sure, like it's a template that's given out to lower league teams. And so they decided, well, we don't want to do that. And Kappa is a small enough company that can do intentional designs for each club, which is now the past 2 seasons they've had incredible kits that have sold out and people have been loving, is because they've had that ability to do so. Nike has 8 elite teams that they do intentional, whatever, unique designs for. And it's insane to me that the United States, home of Nike, is getting these lazy designs. The one on the right, the blue one, y'all remember the kind of Chattahoochee, not the Chattahoochee, the Mississippi River jersey from 2 years ago? It's like the navy with the kind of similar blue color. It's a similar idea to me. It's just like, we had a similar jersey recently like that. Why do we not go with something with a little bit more flair? It bothers me so much the USA logo doesn't match the jersey. Like the colors are not the same. I don't know. The white one I can deal with. That one sort of feels like the 2004 jersey in a way. Sort of similar, with mostly white.
Yeah.
I can deal with the white one. I think the white one will be fine when we wear it, but the blue one's pretty bad. I wish it had like red, white, and blue accents on it, and not just the navy and the royal blue. That's just, I don't know. It's a bad jersey. It is bad.
I was gonna say it is just bad. I've seen a lot of renditions come out since this was leaked, and people go on Photoshop for 10 minutes and make something better. It's like, are you kidding me? I saw something really, really cool that I liked. There was like the white kit was like the stripes, which we've had in the past. Again, another ode to an older jersey, which we should definitely do since, like you said, Steve, it's been 8 years since we've been in the World Cup. They're going to sell, so you better do it well. Hey, look at that. It rhymed.
Let's just keep the jerseys we've been wearing. I love the ones we've been wearing. The simple white and like the red and navy kind of fun ones. Like just wear those. I
like the red and navy one, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, they're fun, but like you can upgrade, right? Like just put some stripes on this white kit and it'd look fine. Or put one like red bar like we had a couple years ago. Like I just think of Donovan, the number 10 in the middle. And then I saw the other rendition that I thought was really, really cool on the blue one. Instead of those stupid tie-dye spots, it was like stars, sort of like an ode to that old like denim looking kit. Yeah, it was like stars across like random sizes all over the jersey. Like something like that would be. Oh my God! I'd be in line. I'd be in line like GameStop trying to buy one of those jerseys for real.
And I think that's like the intention of the navy jersey. They just didn't hit with it. Like it's supposed to be this American feel tie dye whatever denim thing. It's just not hitting. Like in the least bit, it's a flop.
Speaking of jerseys, Cole, why don't you show what came in the mail for you the other day? Do you have it on hand?
Yeah, give me a second.
Oh, this wasn't rehearsed, as you can tell.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the jerseys, though, Steve? What would you have done differently?
I mean, oh my God, look at that! Look at that Venezia kit.
That's our team right there.
Ooh, flip it.
That's a thumbnail.
Ooh, I mean that's just clean.
It's so gorgeous.
It's just clean.
You can see me in his television.
I think white jerseys are hard to kind of miss with, honestly.
Honestly, this Juve one's pretty clean too, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not that. Hell, maybe since we have ugly jerseys, we'll play better. I don't know.
They could have just released
jersey.
No, I'm talking about the American ones.
They could have released these little leaks just to say, get a little feedback, but I don't know. I don't know what they could do on the jerseys either. Like, how they do the imprints nowadays? Yeah. I don't know what they could even do there to make it look good because those just look awful. I've seen the video that was least. I think it was at a Dick's Sporting Goods, maybe.
I mean, yeah,
bad, man. It's bad.
you know that white PSG Mbappe jersey I got?
Yeah.
It has like Paris imprinted on it. It'd be so cool. Even a subtle star pattern, not even like blue stars, but just like the subtle white pattern on the white jersey would be sick. Like that would elevate it from a 4 to like a 7. Just
it might happen,
but I'm not counting on those. In fairness, those are the stadium like replica jerseys. Those aren't the authentic versions. They could have that design. It could happen.
Yeah.
But hey, we're gonna wrap things up. We've been going a little bit long. We got that little bonus coverage on the jerseys and stuff. Hopefully, you guys have some opinions. Just enjoy listening to it. That's gonna wrap things up on the Bad Fan today. Please support our coverage of things like the Premier League, transfers, kit news, anything you guys want to hear about on the Bad Fan. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment, leave a like. You can find all you need to know about the channel in the description below. Info, things about finding us on Twitter and Instagram. You can find our biggest reactions to daily events on Twitter and some reels and stuff on Instagram. But yeah, that's where you can find us on the daily. You can find our personal accounts, whatever you want to do. The Bad Fan would love to connect with you. But for me, I've been Cole. He's been Brandon and Steven. We've been the Bad Fan for our 32nd episode together. Getting up in the numbers, and it's been a blast so far.
Haters said it couldn't happen.
Haters gonna hate.
We're going up.
Gonna hate. They hate us because they ain't us. But that's gonna do it for today. Continue to watch the Premier League. Give us your insights in the comments below. Leave a like, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out.